"Target in sight," the armory officer shouts. "Target confirmed?" the CO asks, looking to the XO. "ID confirmed, sir," the XO replies. Captain Mark Shepard nods. "Fire," he orders. The UTSN Valiant fires. The torpedo flies forward, colliding directly with the pirate vessel's engines, disabling the ship. "Hail the Admiral. We've disabled a pirate vessel and require a Marine boarding team," Captain Shepard orders. As the Marines arrive, the ship is seized. However, aboard this ship is the brother of the Martian president, as the Sol Civil War begins to boil. The year is 2150. 60 years has passed since the ending of the Lunar War, and the Sol system has evolved drastically in that time to fit the new vision of humanity. Earth has united to form a singular government, the United Nations of Earth, or UNE. By 2100, Luna had been developed into a large colony, with the previous habitation zones combining to make a large city called Tranquility. In 2112, Mars was officially colonized and became the second human colony. 10 years later, Ganymede was colonized, followed by the establishment of Venus and Jupiter stations, and finally Belt Station in 2146. To manage these various colonies and holdings, a new political body was formed, the United Territories of Sol, or UTS. Each of the major colonies and settlements, including the stations, received a representative tasked with pursuing the multiple interests of their colony, or settlement, which consisted of representatives from Earth, Mars, Luna, Ganymede, Jupiter Station, and Venus Station, as well as the Belt, all overseen by a system-wide elected president. They convene on a starship constantly moving around the Sol system, with only a select few knowing its location. The ship is called the Light of Sol. However, the far-flung territories has become vulnerable, and filled with valuable targets for those seeking a quick score. With that, piracy soared to new heights, as the new United Territories of Sol Navy, or UTSN, was tasked with defending vital shipping convoys. However, one pirate ship, the Crimson Oni, skippered by Captain India Demon Lindsay, has consistently overpowered or escaped from the UTSN, becoming the #1 most wanted in the system, rising to a fame equivalent to the pirates of old, such as Blackbeard or Calico Jack. The Crimson Oni had a knack for appearing out of nowhere, striking their target, looting it for all their worth, and making off before the UTSN forces could even arrive, gaining India Lindsay the nickname Demon. However, despite the piracy crisis becoming the most visible problem plaguing the Sol system, a greater and far more pressing problem was beginning to boil over. You see, each colony or settlement was often responsible in large part for producing one key resource. Belt Station was responsible for mining water and raw materials from the asteroid belt. Mars was responsible for refining the raw resources into steel, computer components, or whatever else was needed. As a result, the planet was covered with factories, billowing out smoke at a tremendous rate. Ganymede was designated as a large supplier of food and oxygen cartridges, with their cultivation halves reaching a diameter of over a mile. Luna had a vast shipyard and research facilities, which produced 97% of the system's ships, and contributing vastly to the R&D of new technologies. Venus Station provided fully fueled batteries to provide power to ships, ion thrusters, and Jupiter Station provided gases to use in the gas engines for ships. And finally there's Earth, sitting at the center of it all. What's the problem, you ask? Colonies and settlements were not permitted to trade with each other. Instead, they funneled all their excess resources to Earth, and in return, Earth would provide monetary aid to the colony or settlement. However, this payment was far below market value, and if a colony or settlement wished to buy resources produced somewhere else, they had to buy from Earth. Obviously, this process made Earth filthy rich, with many lower and lower-end middle-class families being forced to leave the planet as the cost of living skyrocketed. To Earth, this couldn't be a better arrangement. However, to everyone else, it was a ticking time bomb. 19th of March, 2151. UTS President Natalie Campbell, daughter of the late Douglas Campbell, sat in her office. Though born on Earth, she had lived on Luna for the last 50 years of her life. She reviewed a report from the Prime Minister of Ganymede, Fabian Watson. One of their largest cultivation zones was struck by a meteor, putting the entire zone out of action until it can be repaired. However, they cannot purchase the materials to repair the zone, so they are required to petition Earth for the funds. However, Earth refused, saying that Ganymede can do without the zone for a few years. This put 70,000 people out of a job. And, on an astral body with no oxygen-based atmosphere, going homeless isn't an option. President Campbell pleads with the Earth representative John Evans, but in reality, Earth held all the power. 22nd of March, 2152. A protest is started in the capital city of Ganymede. Starting with less than 1,000 people, it rapidly grew, and in the end, it was nearly 100,000, all endorsed by Fabian Watson. Earth was livid, sending their newest ship of the UTSN fleet, the UTSN Conqueror, a large battleship, into low orbit of Ganymede. The protesters scattered. Earth demanded the removal of Fabian Watson as Prime Minister of Ganymede. With the UTSN Conqueror in low orbit, he resigned without a choice. However, back talks were already underway. Still acting as Prime Minister of Ganymede in the dark, Fabian Watson put out feelers to colonies and settlements he could trust to join him, if he seceded from Earth. Those being Mars, Venus Station, and Belt Station. Mars and Venus Station came back in the affirmative, however Belt Station refused to take part, but agreed not to alert Earth of Fabian's doings. Luna and Jupiter stations were getting almost as rich as Earth, as they provided the materials that kept the system moving. However, in a move that surprised his advisors, Fabian Watson approached President Natalie Campbell, who, only after taking office, had realised that the representatives of Earth held all the power, and she was nothing but a puppet. To his amazement, Natalie Campbell had already secured the support of several high-ranking members of the military, including Grand Admiral of the Fleet, Oscar Thomas, and his most loyal supporters, not happy with how corrupt the Navy had become. The revolution was all set, now all that was left was a spark. And I didn't have to wait long. April 1st, 2152. Just outside Ganymede orbit, the Crimson Oni descended upon a vital supply convoy filled with desperately needed water and energy cells, vital for Ganymede's continued survival. The escort fleet scattered, the escort leader preferring to keep his ships intact rather than protect the convoy. The match had been lit, the revolution was on. April 2nd, 2152. An emergency meeting of the UTS was called by President Natalie Campbell. There, she gave a speech to go down in history as the Speech of Fate. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the Sol System, today marks a historic moment in the annals of our existence. We stand on the precipice of a new era, an era free from the shackles of corruption that have plagued our Mother Earth. I stand before you not only as your president, but as a beacon of resolve, a voice for justice, and a catalyst for change. Today we take our fate into our own hands as we declare independence from the oppressive grip of the decaying Earth. And we rise as one, united under the banner of our newfound freedom. For far too long, the United Colonies of Sol have suffered the consequences of Earth's insatiable greed and political machinations. Our resolve drained, our voices silenced, and our futures compromised by a system that values power over people. But no more. We, the proud inhabitants of Mars, Ganymede, and Venus Station, refuse to be pawns in their corrupt game. Today I tender my resignation as the President of the United Territories of Sol. As we embark on this journey, let our unity be strength. Let our shared vision be the compass that guides us through the challenges ahead. We are pioneers, explorers, and revolutionaries. We will face adversity with courage, cowardice with strength, and oppressive silence with the battle cry the entire system will hear, and we will prevail. To the citizens of Mars, Ganymede, and Venus Station, I say, rise up. Rise up against the tyranny of Earth's corruption. Let our collective will be the force that propels us into a future of freedom and equality. Together, we shall be the architects of a new dawn, where the light of justice shines brightly across the expanse of our liberated colonies under a new banner, the United Colonies of Earth. Fellow citizens, the time for change is now. Let our voices echo through the cosmos, reclaiming our independence and our commitment to a better tomorrow. Mars, Ganymede, Venus Station, stand tall, stand proud, and stand united. As Natalie Campbell walked from the Light of Sol and boarded her shuttle, pre-planned actions to coincide with her speech went into action. A coup d'etat on Mars led by all three squadrons of A Commando, Aiden, Ambrose, and Anna squadrons, which seized power, placing Representative Zoe Ward as the new Martian Prime Minister. 2 days prior, Oscar Thomas had sent out multiple fraudulent SOSs from the outer edges of the system, requesting assistance. This took many of the suspected ships that would remain on the UTSN side away from the lunar anchorage, due to sympathetic dock workers prioritizing the refuel and rearmament of those ships. over the soon-to-be UCE ones. As a result, when Natalie Campbell ended her speech, there were only 16 of the standard 32 ships docked around the lunar anchorage. The time was now. Oscar Thomas pushed plan into motion. Leading a B Commando team, Bridie Squadron, he stormed the bridge of the heavy cruiser Cherno Titan, seizing the ship as the crew defected to the UCE. Across the anchorage, 10 of the 16 ships were scheduled to defect at the sound of Cherno Titan's guns, with suspected loyalists being sent on shore leave the day before. As Cherno Titan fires, the other 9 follow suit, calling upon others to do the same. A chaotic firefight ensues, both around the anchorage and aboard every ship in the fleet. The UTSN officers and sailors have secured most of the vessels suspected to remain on their side, however, at great cost. Most have lost more than 40% of their crews. Aboard 2 ships, the UTSN Hunter Echo and UTSN Hollow Basilisk, both of whose captains served aboard HMS Hood during the Lunar War, defected along with the entirety of the ship's company. As the defecting ships changed their IFF tags from UTSN to UCEN, signifying their defection, UTSN Conqueror, captained by Fleet Admiral Anna Hirata, undocked from its moorings and began to move towards the defecting ships. However, the Conqueror was in no shape to fight, having lost 58% of its crew and almost all of its gunnery officers. Cherno Titan fired a full volley across Conqueror's bow. Fleet Admiral Hirata got the message, instead hailing the Cherno Titan. Grand Admiral Oscar Thomas, for acts of treason against Earth and the Sol System, I strip you of your rank under Code 4 of the Articles of Space Warfare, and am required to demand your surrender. As she waits with no reply, Anna Hirata hails the ship again. Please, Oscar, don't make me hunt you down. Grand Admiral Thomas sending a single message to the ship's bridge. I am sorry. However, I have been left with no choice but to commit to my current actions. I pray one day you will understand my decisions and may one day join me. Until that day comes, I wish only that you survive long enough to understand. Before cutting communications and booting off towards Mars, where the pre-prepared anchorage and repair yard were already being moved into place, orbiting the planet. The Sol Civil War had begun. Before it ends, 800 million will lie dead, and the course of human history changed forever.